The headline from the July 10, 1946 edition of the Holyoke Transcript tells the tragic story. A B-17 crashes on Mount Tom. All 25 people aboard died. 50 years later, these twisted and broken pieces of metal are a grim reminder of that crash. The plane was on a flight from Goose Bay, Labrador to Westover Air Force Base when it struck the mountain. It's been nearly 50 years since that B-17 went down here on Mount Tom. Even today, you can see these burn spots on the side of the mountain. 24 servicemen and 1 Red Cross worker lost their lives in that crash. The monument that's going to be erected here will make sure that their sacrifice not be forgotten. It will consist of a black granite stone with the names of the dead on it. There will be a pathway flanked by 25 birch trees, 1 for each person who died. Organizers say this monument will give closure to the families who lost their loved ones and will provide a lasting memorial to each person who died on that fateful night.
To start our program, we'll have the presentation of the colors, and I'd ask you all to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Color guard, attention! Hardest to color. Praise, set, pull!
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, pull!
Thank you.
Unharness the color.
We'll start this program with the invocation by the Reverend Michael S. Taylor, pastor, Trinity Lutheran Church, East Hampton, Mass. Pastor.
Righteousness exalts a nation, the Psalms say. These men honored today exalt our nation for their service. It is an honor for me to be here because a previous minister of my congregation flew on B-17s during World War II and returned to serve this country for the Lord. And so with great honor, I'm here to say the invocation today. We make our beginning in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you. I'd now like to turn the program over to Bob Cahillane, a friend and colleague, the veteran service agent from Northampton, who will act as your master of ceremonies. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan, and it's just great that you're able to get all these people up here. The men should get a medal yourself to putting this thing together so far. At this time, I'd like to call on Mayor Daniel Soskowitz, the mayor of Holyoke, for a welcome. Mayor Soskowitz.
Thank you, John. Good morning. On July 9th, 1946, 25 Americans in a flying fortress making their way home from the service in the Second World War lost their lives on this mountain. The pilot had reported seeing the Westover Field runway in his last contact with the control tower. The tower radioed back warning of menacing rain squalls that were closing in on the area. Then, without warning, contact was forever lost with these 25 American heroes. They've been called home within sight of their destination, the Westover runway. Their war and their troubles ended forever here on the slope of Mount Tom. History for 50 years has regrettably denied these brave men their just recognition of the sacrifice they made in the war, and especially on the rainy night of July 9, 1946. Today's dedication of this monument corrects history's oversight and makes these 25 servicemen a part of the city of Holyoke forever. They now take their place with Holyoke's own sons and daughters lost in the Second World War. As mayor of the city of Holyoke, I am pleased to be here to honor these 25 American heroes. I also want to take this opportunity to commend the many volunteers whose dedication and hard work made this long overdue honor a reality. This monument you have erected finally welcomes home these 25 American heroes, honoring their lives, their service to their country, and their sacrifice. The families and loved ones present here today can be sure that the people of Holyoke will forever honor these 25 brave Americans. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call on the United States Coast Guard Captain Greg Ketchum, who is representing Admiral Linden of the Commandant of the 1st Coast Guard District. I might add that Greg is a native from Belchtown here in the western part of the state. Greg?
Good morning. Today we honor the memory of 25 young men who gave their lives serving their nation. 16 of these young men were Coast Guard, assigned to Greenland, Newfoundland. By any measure, this was a tragic event, but for the Coast Guard, a small service was certainly significant. It is my solemn honor to be here today to represent the Commandant of the Coast Guard, and also it will be my distinct privilege later in the ceremony to present flags to the 25 family members for the honor of for the service their friends, relatives gave to the country, and in loving memory of their faithful service. Massachusetts is the birthplace of the Coast Guard. This accident added a sad chapter to our history. In one quick moment, more lives were lost than in any other event the Coast Guard has experienced other than shipboard. That is, we lost more lives, 16, in this one event than any other time in our 206-year history. It is particularly appropriate that we remember the sacrifice of these men and women on this, the weekend of our nation's birth, that we celebrate the birth of our nation. I was born in sight of this spot. As you look over my right shoulder, I can almost see my home across the valley. But as a young boy and as a young man, I was not aware of this tragedy. Even deep into my Coast Guard career, it was late before I learned of this accident. It is appropriate, and I thank Norman Cote for righting this wrong, so that now we'll remember, generations passing here, visiting this spot, will remember the tragic incident that occurred here nearly 50 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. At this time, I'd like to call on Colonel Franklin Seneff, representing Colonel James Shansky, commander of the 439th Airlift Wing and Westover Air Reserve Base. Captain Franklin.
Outside the entrance to the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas, there's a small sign. It states simply, but eloquently, "Gentlemen, remove your hats. Brave men have died here." It is obviously a long way from that sun-baked Spanish mission in Texas to this mountainside. But as we gather today on Mount Tom, I am reminded of that sign at the Alamo, for truly brave men have died here. And this place, just like those hallowed grounds in San Antonio, should also be honored as a shrine to our freedom and to those who gave their lives to defend it. The 25 patriots who perished here in the B-17 air crash on July 9, 1946, came from different backgrounds, different places, and different branches of service. They were from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Texas, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Nebraska, Oregon, Colorado, Wisconsin, Arizona, and right here in Massachusetts. 16 were Coast Guardsmen, 4 served from the Army, 4 from the Army Air Corps, and 1 was a Red Cross field worker. They were, in short, as different and diverse as the uniforms they wore. In honoring these young men who died here 50 years ago, we pay homage to their courage, their sacrifices, and their sense of patriotism, which led each of them willingly to put their country's needs above their own welfare. They exemplified in their lives and in their passing what is truly best in America. That is why it's so appropriate that we're here today, to remember those brave service members and to express thanks to what they accomplished during their young lives. And that is why this memorial and the work of Norman Cote, James Morrissey, and the local veterans agents, and the entire B17 committee is so important. Thanks to them and the donors who supported them, we now have this beautiful memorial. Thanks to them, the world will know and never forget the brave man who died here. I would like to take this moment to read a letter that was received recently at our base over at Westover. It says, "Dear men and women of Westover, on behalf of the men and women of the United States Air Force, I salute the servicemen who died in the crash of the B-17 Flying Fortress on Mount Tom, Holyoke, Massachusetts, 9 July 1946. The memoriam that you dedicate to this tribute to these young men who gave their lives to the service and to their country and represent our nation's gratitude for their sacrifice, let it symbolize for generations to come the unselfish way in which they have stepped forward when their nation called. It is also fitting that these airmen are so remembered in the state of Massachusetts, the cradle of American patriotism. May God bless and keep them. Ronald R. Fogelman, General, United States Air Force, Chief of Staff."
It gives me great pleasure to present Command Sergeant Major Warren L. Williams, the Soldier System Command, Natick, Massachusetts, representing the United States Army.
As we look back on that day 50 years ago, we also look forward to the future. As it has been in the past, and so it will probably be again, American heritage and liberty remain just as precious today as it has in the past. Those that we honor today valued it above their own lives. This monument will forever mark that on this spot rest 25 real American heroes. Let us resolve then to keep faith with our fallen comrades, families, and friends. In doing so, we can pay no higher tribute to these brave individuals. It is our promise and our guarantee that they did not sacrifice their lives in vain. As we depart today, keep these heroes in our minds and in our hearts forever. Good luck to all on your departures, and Godspeed.
On this beautiful day, I wish we didn't have occasion to be here. But we can't change history. We can only remember it. From the smallest service came one of my members, Dr. Pasquale. He was serving with the Coast Guard. He was a public health service officer. 50 years later, we still have public health service officers serving with the Coast Guard, with other branches of service. I, like all of you, am grateful to be here today. Etched in stone, soon will be another page of American history.
Thank you, Commander. This time it gives me great pleasure to introduce Ms. Sue Richter, the American Red Cross, who's Vice President of the Armed Forces Emergency Services. Ms. Richter.
Thank you. I also am very pleased to be here today representing the American Red Cross and the many thousands of men and women who are a part of this organization. As you've heard, one of the people who was lost in this tragic accident was Arthur Bailey, an American Red Cross worker just returning from his assignment in World War II. It's a very beautiful place. I'm sure that the sense of peace will bring a sense of peace to the families who are here, and certainly that is our most fervent hope today. I have to say something, however, not just to pay tribute to those who were lost in this terrible accident, but also to those who serve on the B17 committee. For I believe that the work of this group is what makes this country great. The B17 committee, a group of individuals throughout this community, saw something that needed to be done, and they did it, and they did it very well. It speaks of the work that families and folks in this country have done since the beginning of this nation, and that is reaching out to help others, to raise barns, to build homes, and now this very fitting tribute, this memorial. So not only are we here to pay tribute to the people who lost their lives and to give the family members an opportunity to see this place and to acquire, we hope, a sense of peace. But also, I'd like to say, on behalf of those 50 years ago who arrived at this unfortunate circumstance, to the people on this committee, our deepest appreciation, for you do embody what makes America great, and that is the volunteer and the spirit of volunteerism. And long may it occur, because that's what makes this country unique. Again, to the families, we extend our deepest sense of sorrow, but also we hope that a sense of peace will be acquired today with what's occurring at this particular site in this lovely part of Massachusetts. And again, I'm most pleased to have been a part of this deep, meaningful tribute. Thank you.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Bob McKeon. Bob is representing Commissioner Hudner, who is one of our bosses as myself, and I see another veterans agent back there, Dan Walsh from Springfield, and I want to introduce the president of the Veterans Agents Association, George Thomas, who came all the way up from Methuen this morning. But Commissioner Hudner, which a lot of you may or may not know, is a Congressional Medal of Honor winner, and he wanted to be here today, and I'm sure, I don't want to steal any of Bob's thunder, but I'm sure he'll extend his words. Bob?
Good morning. As Director of External Affairs, it is indeed an honor and a privilege to be here today representing the Massachusetts Department of Veterans Services, Thomas J. Hudner, Jr., Commissioner, and the 600,000 veterans who reside here in the state of Massachusetts at this dedication of the B17 Memorial. As I was reflecting upon the tragedy that befell the crew and passengers of the B17 on that fateful day 50 years ago, I was struck by the fact of how life could have changed if they had survived and returned to their hometowns. How many of these comrades would have become productive members of their communities, school teachers, merchants, neighbors, and friends? The opportunities lost were countless, as the family systems of these lost veterans were changed forever. We can only wonder what might have been. The Department of Veterans Services would like to thank the Memorial Steering Committee and Veterans Agents Robert Cahillane from Northampton, John Guerin from Holyoke, Stanley Parsons from from East Hampton, along with all those whose efforts brought this day to fruition. This memorial is a fitting tribute to those who lost their lives on this mountain. When there was no one left to tell the story of what happened on this location, July 9th, 1946, this memorial will remain to tell the story for all generations to come. Thank you.
It is my honor to name the men And I have two military persons here who will make a presentation to the family members who are present. And for families who could not be here today, we have someone also here to accept the flags for those families. They will be receiving a flag, a presidential memorial certificate signed by President Clinton, and a Commonwealth of Massachusetts certificate signed by Governor Weld. I'll now begin with the names. Seaman Second Class, David Archulese, U.S. Coast Guard. First Lieutenant Wayne L. Austin, United States Army Air Corps. Mr. Arthur Bailey, American Red Cross. Electrician's Mate, Third Class, George R. Benfield, United States Coast Guard. Private First Class, Howard E. Carson, United States Army Air Corps. Lieutenant Pascual P. Covillo, United States Public Health Service. Seaman First Class, Gregory S. Davenport, United States Coast Guard. Electronic Technician's Mate, Third Class, George E. Fleming, United States Coast Guard. Radio Man, Third Class, Ernest R. Gillis, United States Coast Guard. Second round. Lieutenant Wilford U. Johnson, United States Coast Guard. Captain Henry A. Lebrecq, United States Army Air Corps. Lieutenant Frank G. Merriam, United States Coast Guard. Seaman First Class, Arthur C. Miller, United States Coast Guard. Lieutenant J.G. George E. Orford, United States Coast Guard. Sergeant Daniel R. Rowe, United States Army Air Corps. Private First Class, Eulogio Sanchez, United States Army Air Corps. Boatswain's Mate, Second Class, Russell S. Scott, United States Coast Guard. Radio Man, Third Class, Arnold J. Simons, United States Coast Guard. Private First Class, Rex A. Tansey, United States Army Air Corps. Flight Officer Samuel A. Turrentine, United States Army Air Corps. Flight Officer Herman J. Valdrini, Jr., United States Army Air Corps. Radio Man, Third Class, Alfred L. Warm, United States Coast Guard. Seaman First Class, Stanley P. Warshaw, United States Coast Guard. Radio Man, Second Class, Lee Winard, United States Coast Guard. Chief Yeoman, Hugh J. Worth, United States Coast Guard.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Reverend Monsignor Ronsario Montcalm, a retired colonel, United States Air Force, who will be our principal speaker. Monsignor Montcalm, who lives in South Hadley, Massachusetts, came to Holyoke as a child and received his grammar school education at Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and was ordained in St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield, Mass. on June 6 of 1936 by the late Most Reverend Thomas O'Leary, then Bishop of Springfield. Monsignor Montcalm served the parish of St. Joseph's in Worcester as an assistant priest from 36 to 42, and Precious Blood Parish in Holyoke from 42 to 43. In 43, Monsignor entered the military service as a chaplain in the Army Air Corps and served in Idaho, Texas, Nebraska, New York, Washington, and Washington, D.C. He also served overseas in England, France, Germany, and Japan, and later became command chaplain at the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Colonel Montcalm retired from the military service in May of '65. Upon his return to civilian life, he has served as pastor of St. John's Church in Millers Falls, Massachusetts from '65 to '67, and Our Lady of Perpetual Help in the Church of Holyoke, Massachusetts from '67 to '84. Monsignor Montcalm is still active in the military and church activities. May I give you a great welcome for Monsignor Montcalm.
Before I give my formal talk, I'd like to pay tribute to the committee, to Norman Cote, and to Linda Abrams for the great work that's been done. I hope you appreciate all the work, hard work that was done here, Bob Swope and some of the others, in getting this place set up in these last few weeks. There's a terrific amount of work that was done here in order to make this a meaningful place. And I think they really deserve a hand. Thank you. Norman Cote, of course, was the instigator of all of this. I guess it pays to be a hiker. I'm not. My legs won't do. So, John Guerin called me and asked me if I would speak on this occasion. From that moment on, there kept ringing in my heart and head a song that was popular at the time of this event, of the event we commemorate today. I'm going to take a sentimental journey home. Having taken a number of these journeys myself in my career, I can imagine what the joy was, what the journey was for these 25 people on board that B-17. A sentimental, emotional, happy journey home. They were close to it. A journey which ended abruptly at this spot, July 9, 1946. The details you've heard already, no need for me to go into that. I can also imagine, however, the horror of that crash. Having been a witness to a number of crashes myself in my years with the Air Force, particularly in training, but then later in other occasions. One crash in particular, May 29, 1947, was close to me. We're in a C-54 returning to base with 44 aboard from Korea, crashed in the hills near Mount Fuji, Japan. The crew were from my outfit, the 317th Troop Carrier Wing. The navigator was my roommate. All 44 perished in that crash. So I share with the members of the families of those memorialized today what I call a sentimental journey in memory to the day of your loss, the day of your sorrow. Yours was to be a happy reunion, only minutes away, but tragedy struck. I think Norm Cote's words are so apt here. They were on their way home. For those who did their very best and now in God's hands at peace. Hopefully, this dedication will give peace to the families and friends of these men. Closure, as one person called it, or easing of the mind and heart. It is comforting to know that their service to our country is appreciated. However, the past is the past. We cannot change it. But we can and we must do our best to protect what was secured by the sacrifices of our servicemen, thousands of whom did not make the journey home, but lie buried at Cambridge, Omaha Beach, St. James, Epinal, Draguignan, Nettuno, and other cemeteries Not to mention those who did make the journey home, wounded some of them, but who did their very best. I ask you, support those in uniform today who are guaranteeing our freedom and peace. And I conclude with the words of Cardinal Newman's prayer. May he support us all day long till the shadows lengthen and the evening comes and the busy world is hushed and the fever of life is over and our work is done. Then in his mercy, may he give us a safe lodging and a holy rest and peace at the last. Thank you. Now, if you will stand and face the rear, they will unveil the monument.
I stand here as a very proud member of Alfred L. Worm's family, but I know that I also speak on behalf of all of the family members and friends of those wonderful 25 young men who gave us this sunshine by smiling down and saying thank you today. We are so deeply grateful, all of us who are family and friends, to all of you who made this possible. In the last couple of 24 hours, we've been saying to each other, how do we express our thanks adequately to the people who have made this possible? And it occurs to me that if each of us leaves here, leaves this spot, determined to be more caring and to go out and do deliberate acts of goodness, as the people on this committee have done for all of us, if we make ourselves in their image as caring and giving human beings, then perhaps we begin to say thank you to all of you for making this possible. On the page of your program, just following the wonderful picture of very special Norman Cote, there is a translation of the passage from Ecclesiastes, which I will sing for you now in Hebrew, the language of the religion of two of the men on the plane, and I invite you to follow the translation. לכל זמן ועת לכל חפץ תחת השמיים לכל זמן ועת לכל חפץ תחת השמיים עת ללדת ועת למות עת לטעת ועת לקור נטוע עת להרוג ועת לרפוא it leaf roots, the it leaf noot, la kozman vid lechol chefetz, tachat al shamayim, la kozman vid lechol chefetz, tachat hashamayim. A time for birth and a time for death, a time to plant and a time to uproot the planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to tear, and a time to build. La kozman vit lechol chefetz, tachat hashamayim. I ask you to please rise.
To attention, we may have taps.
Color guard! Attention! Harness the colors. Trade set. Pull!
mention from the City of Holyoke for closing remarks.
Recognize the 18 committee members who for 18 months have worked to raise the funds to construct the memorial. If the committee members are all stand, we can close the program with a big thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Got to tell them about getting off the mountain now?
The Sergeant Major retrieved the colors, and this time we'll get you off the mountain as best we can. They're going to be made. I realize some of the people want to take some pictures, but the vans will be leaving shortly. So thank you very much for all your help and cooperation.
Take charge and go, Doug!
Detail. Work.
Hello. Thank you. I'm
Abbreviate MSDR. MSDR is abbreviation.
Thank you. Thank you. I told him I'd do it in an hour.
It took seconds. You know, I had a report to say, but I didn't have the news. Yeah, I got one on
Get it ready, and then we have about a month and a half.
Oh, Daniel, right here. Daniel, right here. Right here. Thanks a lot.
Mark.
Sorry about that.
Probably get down around 4 o'clock. Last bus.